Craig L. Povey is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Prevention Administrator for the state of Utah and the chair for the Utah Prevention Advisory Council. Now, past president of the National Prevention Network and past chair of the National Prevention Research Work Group, he brings a wealth of experience to the stage tonight. He is a caring husband and father. Please help me welcome Mr. Craig Povey.
What I'm going to share with you today is not only how you can get 5 cents out of me, but how you turn that 5 cents into $5, $50, $500. I don't care if you're thinking about the impact of your family, the impact of your loved ones, and certainly the impact of your kids has got to weigh in or you wouldn't be here. I don't even care if you're thinking about this fully on economics. If you're concerned about your taxes going up to pay for some of the service of incarcerating people. The things that I know and have spent studying for the past 20 years have helped me understand that there are ways to prevent those things. And that's what I want to share with you tonight. They told me, by the way, that if I keep my slides simple is the way I need to go, but I think that's not quite the intent of, not the message I wanted to give out. No, we want to beat S.A.D. I'm here tonight to talk about suicide, addictions, and depression. 3 very critical things that we are faced with parents in the state of Utah, also all over the world, obviously. I'm going to dedicate this to a gentleman by the name of Michael Newman. Michael, during his adolescence time, battled a major mental illness. That mental illness made him feel terrible. It was difficult for him to deal with things. Michael then turned to illegal drugs. He ended up with what we call comorbid or a diagnosis, dual diagnosis, a person trying to get into some services. Luckily, he did get into services. However, before that ever happened, he got to the depths and was feeling so bad about things that he did attempt suicide. Michael got to that point where it just didn't seem like life should go on. That life would be better, his family would be better, everybody would be better without him. And so I want to put a real face to this tonight of what we're talking about because it all ties together and there's things that we can do to prevent things like what happened with Michael. Check out these signs that we all need to be aware of. Parents, you need to be watching your kids. Mood swings, changes of behavior, changes in sleep pattern, changes in friends, being irritable, changes in eating patterns. Changes in weight or loss of interest of things that they've been before very interested and happy with. And I don't know about you guys, but I have 3 kids that my wife and I have raised. And I think that we just have a diagnosis of here of something that's called adolescence. Right? So the tough thing is that a lot of the things that we need to watch out for are very typical of somebody that's going through the adolescent time period. You know, with all the brain development that's going on and all the connections that are being made and some of them being pruned out and all these different things that are going on in the brain, there's no doubt that some of these things happen. But I'm going to show you tonight a couple of things that you can do to make sure that you are able to differentiate between these common things and the things that aren't so common. First of all, know 2 things. When you see somebody that's out of breath or having a heart attack, you dial 911. We know that. When you see somebody that you suspect is driving intoxicated, dial 911. We know that. You don't need to know that they're intoxicated. If you suspect that they're intoxicated, have the passenger in your car dial 911 or pull off to the side, dial 911 and report that person and get them off the road. Now, what I'm going to tell you that it is a myth, a total myth, that if somebody expresses or verbalizes suicidal ideation, that they really don't want to commit suicide anyway. If you suspect, and I would say that if somebody tells you that they don't feel like living or that life would be better without them and the family would be better without them, that's enough to suspect. And that's cause enough to call somebody to get some help. 273-TALK. Number you should take home and memorize with you. If they have lethal means available to them, if there's firearms, ammunition, prescription pain medications, anything like that, that are as lethal means and they have access to it, dial 911. Look how simple I made these. I follow good instructions. I'm so good, I'm not quite sure what I was going to go with on this. Now, suicide. It's a major issue that we have to face here in Utah. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for all youth in our state. Yeah, you may notice, and if you haven't, you will notice, that you might have a community that hasn't had a suicide that they can even remember. And then there is a suicide, and then all of a sudden a couple other pop up behind it. Suicide is a complex issue that requires a multitude of people to get behind it and systems to get behind it in order to prevent it. Parents are the number one reason, or influence on the kids. Certainly you guys have a role in that. Families do, communities do, and the media. It doesn't do any good when Robin Williams commits suicide that I see on a program that very day. The genie is free. Good grief. What were they thinking? I can tell you what they weren't thinking. They weren't thinking about the thousands of people that are contemplating suicide on every day, thinking that that might be the way out. We've got to be careful. We have a suicide coordinator at the Division of Substance Abuse and Mental Health that knows how to be effective and deploy effective measures within your community and within your family. Greg Hudnall, I got to call him out. He did these things in schools, Hope Squads. But the thing I really liked about that was that he realized, and he will tell you, that it's not just a school thing, that you've got to get the community engaged, which includes parents as well. The other one that we're trying to push out and to make sure that you guys are aware of is it's called QPR, Question, Persuade, and Refer. You guys probably all know about CPR. If I start having a heart attack, which I kind of feel like having, you probably know what to do. But I'm wondering if I had suicidal ideation and told you that I was feeling suicidal, if you would know what to do then. Well, we can tell you if you'd attend one of those kinds of programs like that and look them up within your community. Substance abuse is a preventable behavior. Substance abuse addiction or substance use addiction or dependency is a treatable disease. There's a major difference between the abuse and the disease, and the dependence, and it is a disease. And folks, if you don't have any idea of what that may feel like, if you continue to believe that once somebody is dependent that it's simple choice, just try to go without sugar for a while and see what your brain starts telling you. Better yet, go without water, because it's the same system that will tell you that you got to drink water in order to live that's telling someone with a dependence that they need to take that drug in order to live. They will put that over their family, their friends, their work, their loved ones. They will do things that they would not ordinarily do in order to get that into their system. So know that it's not just a choice anymore, that it's something that we've got to pull back way before things ever becomes addiction. Depression. Depression and other mental health disorders. We surveyed about 50,000 students throughout the state. It's alarming to me that if you take a high school class, every high school class in the state, about 4 kids in that class have experienced extreme psychological trauma and meet what we would say meet the threshold of needing mental health services. 4 out of every classroom of high schools is what that survey told us. It's very alarming, and there's a lot of things that we need to be deploying before that in order to prevent depression from happening. But also know that the things I'm going to show you will lessen the magnitude of symptoms and lessen the duration that people suffer and battle these types of things if we will do these as parents. We take a lesson from UDOT, by the way. They know that if you go out and fill the cracks in a road, in fact, we as taxpayers agree. We give them millions of dollars to go out and repair these roads so that they don't have to later spend billions to fix them and repair them. You know, and what we know with the prevention science is it's the same thing. If we prevent these behaviors from ever happening in the first place, we're going to save millions, and we're going to save a whole lot of heartache and tough times that people experience and families experience by getting ahead of these things. This was out on the table. I can make it available to you. I'd be glad to email this to you. This is our list of cracked asphalt in our line of work. These are 20 risk factors that have been proven longitudinally. In other words, they've been proven over time to be effective of predicting who's at risk of substance abuse, delinquency, teen pregnancy, violence, and depression and anxiety. So you need to know if your kids are at risk, and we could help you do that, or you can look at this list. It's pretty intuitive to be able to look at it and try to figure out if your kid is at higher risk. And then the next thing that we need to do is deploy the things to help protect them or buffer them, because we can't always protect them from everything that we do. We have talked about this tonight. I've heard other presenters that have brought up the importance of families.
As a parent, you need triple-strength underage drinking prevention. Before, parents just talked about not drinking alcohol. That doesn't cut it. Now you need 3 layers of prevention. 1, a good relationship with your kids. 2, clear rules about no underage drinking. And 3, knowing what your kids are up to. Woohoo! That's the power of triple strength prevention. Learn more at parentsempowered.org.
Woohoo! I love that part. I think Parents Empowered has got it right. Parents are the #1 influence, and not only with underage drinking, folks. When you're preventing one thing and deploying these skills that you can learn from all these parenting classes and other means that you have to learn these skills, you're preventing depression, anxiety, other mental health disorders, underage drinking, delinquency, teen pregnancy, violence, school dropout. And they all have shared risk factors that we can make sure that we're trying to intervene with so that it doesn't affect you and your family in such a negative way. Here's Michael, by the way. Does treatment work? Absolutely. Michael says that there's not a day go by that he doesn't struggle or feel the effects of the mental illness that he has. But he's learned through treatment and life experiences to battle through those and to live a happy life. He's totally employed. He's a new, proud father. In fact, his office is just a couple doors down from mine. That's how I know him. So folks, the earlier we can get people into treatment, the better off that they're going to be, the less likely they're going to have ongoing problems, and the quicker they will be out of treatment. You want to stop the revolving door of the prisons? Then let's give access to the people to the effective treatment that we know. You want to stop the entrance door into the treatment facilities? Let's prevent them. Here's what you can do. My dad taught me a long time ago, sit on the porch. In other words, what he was saying is back in his day, he had 50 parents that were watching him every day and making sure that he was towing the line right. Now, in the days of garage doors and air conditioning, we tend to go in our home and isolate. We've got to change our society to get outside and spend more time knowing what's going on. Another thing I encourage you to do is go home and write 150 things that you want to do. Don't worry about economics or cost of these things or whether you think it's even possible. What you're going to find, by the way, is that you put a lot of limitations on yourself that you don't need to, which causes all kinds of stress and anxiety, but a great exercise. Perhaps the most important thing that you could do as far as the kids go is to go home and find 40 things within 40 miles of your home that cost little to nothing. And you can do it, I promise you. If you want to challenge me, send me an email and we'll sit down and figure this out. My wife and I deployed that about 25 years ago when we learned how to do that. We didn't have a lot of money, so we were thankful to learn that we could indeed influence our kids and provide them good role models, show them what's good and healthy, and take advantage of this great state that we live in that applies so many of these things of little and no cost. When you're doing those activities, you sequester them. Now you've got them. Time to spend with them doing productive, fun things, and you're also doing that thing that you've heard so much about tonight, bonding with them. If you bond with them and talk with them, you can go back to my list of the diagnosis of adolescence and understand better if it's a human development issue that you're faced with or if it's something far more serious, such as they're messing around with substance abuse or if they're starting to develop a mental illness. Folks, realize that you're an important piece of the healthiness of not only yourself, but your community, your loved ones, and your family. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share these critical issues and things that we need to know as parents. Thanks.